Was the first one with Scott and Justin traveling, and then Descending is the new dive show spinoff, which just started airing recently. And I guess today, we can probably turn the lights up a little bit. Yeah, if you guys have any questions at any point, then just ask them, because we don't really have any formal agenda. We're just gonna get really moody in here. I guess we were just gonna talk more about starting when we were students and where departures came from and how we came together to work on it as well and all that kind of thing. So, do you want to start about just starting at Sheridan?
Steve and I we both started at the same time here at Sheridan, but we didn't finish at the same time. I don't even remember what year I finished, but it was later than I should have. But I did finish. But we both started about 2000, I guess, 99, and 3-year media arts program, and just started figuring out very early on who we wanted to work with. What kind of teams made sense, and I think it also became clear pretty early on that keeping things small was key. Finding tight-knit groups of people, not worrying about building these massive teams and trying to have third assistant directors and everything. It was just as slim and as cheap as possible, and put the effort into the creativity, put the effort into the product, and that sort of has been the mantra, for the last 10 years now. So, while at Sheridan, myself and my business partner Andre, who's also the cameraman of both programs and director of both programs, we started a business just on the side. We wanted to, during the summer, instead of working at the mall or McDonald's, we wanted to be able to put what we were learning into practice. And so I think the first summer we made all of 2 or 3 videos. They were like wedding videos or something, and it just started to spin off from there. There was a guy, an independent TV producer in Burlington, who approached us, and he had a program on the Outdoor Life Network called Don't Forget Your Passport, and it was a very magazine format travel show that was commissioned for, I think, 3 years on OLN. And we started to work with him. He presented the idea that we do our co-op with him. So we had to make some special arrangements because we were gone for most of the year as opposed to just a semester. But we were lucky enough to have the staff here at Sheridan were more than willing to help us out. And so we took off and we started to travel around the world. And we were getting credit for it at the same time, which is a pretty sweet deal. We loved the travel. We really weren't happy with the product, that we were helping to put together. We felt there was a better show out there. We felt that the travel TV programming at that point, at least, which was now about maybe 7 years ago, 8 years ago, was flawed. It wasn't true. It wasn't real. And the term it reality TV is now kind of been bastardized because there's nothing real about reality TV anymore. But we wanted to document it. We wanted to document our travels. We wanted to show off all the ups and all of the downs of our trips and trials and tribulations of all of that. We would come home, we would tell our friends and our family about these amazing things that happened, a lot of them being downs as well as ups in the trip. And they would say, I can't wait to see that, I can't wait to see that. And I'm like, well, none of that's going to be in the show, because it was always magazine format, happy host presenting in front of, whatever it would be, a wonder of the world or something, and that was it. There was no real substance to it. So Andre and I set out with the idea that we wanted to build a travel show that filmed it all, and that every traveler we ran into on the road shared the same sort of experiences, and something that was just a lot more organic, a lot more documentary feeling. So we used the last bits of our student loan at the time and bought ourselves a camera, which was an XL2 at the time, and bought tickets to New Zealand, where a friend of ours lived, went down there for his wedding, and at the same time stuck around for about 2 or 3 weeks afterwards and just shot and shot and shot and shot. And we came back with, we were shooting DV, we came back with I think 63 tapes, so 63 hours. And we wanted to whittle that down somehow into what our trip was. And it took us the better part of a year and a half to finally be happy with what we had. And it was actually the push of a mutual friend of ours that said, you know, you've got to do this. You've just got to say enough is enough and be happy with it and send it in. So we packaged it up, we sent it into the network, and everything that they tell you online as far as sending in a pitch to a network is, you know, don't expect to hear from us from 4 to 6 weeks, if at all. And so we really didn't have high expectations. We believed in the product, but we didn't think that necessarily it would be as easy as getting it right off the ground from the first pitch. And we sent in the pitch. We made this gigantic coffee table book. You know, this amazing stock of paper, super glossy photos, and then in the back, a DVD, which was the best we could do at the time. There wasn't a Blu-ray, and we had that demo on there. And the idea was to put a demo, not a pilot, to tease the network and not show them that all the work had been done for a first episode. It was just to tease them. We sent it in, and we were monitoring our UPS tracking number like crazy. And the second it got accepted, it was about 10:15 in the morning. And just after lunchtime, we got a call from the network, and they said, "We love it. We want you to come in and talk with us right away." So Andre and I were excited for about 10 minutes, and then terrified because we didn't know what the hell we were going to do. And then we started emailing our good friends from Sheridan, other people we had worked with, like Steve and Jesse, who ended up coming on and becoming the producers of the show. So I don't know if you want to take it from there. That was when we took over.
Yeah, and I guess we didn't really, because Scott and Andre were traveling a lot, most of the second and third year, I guess, we didn't really like work on anything together. We were in different classes, but I always had like immense respect for these guys and immense hatred because they were like living the dream and traveling the world. Hatred in a good way. No, but that's not true. Hatred in a bad way. But but anyway, I knew they were working on this thing, but it was Jesse, the other producer, that kept in touch with them more than I did. And I was off doing I did a lot of short films after I left here. And I was working in post-production for a while, and just like producing all these shorts and taking them to markets and just learning the ins and outs of that side of things. I shot a film in India called The Mall in the summer of 2006. And then I heard that these guys were like pitching the network, because I guess you guys were talking to Jesse a bit at the time. And I was actually, I think it was early 2007 when that happened. And I was in the basement of an ADR room in Delhi, this like little crummy ADR studio. And I got the email saying, you know, these guys just got a green light. And I think like instantly I sent you guys all my info. I'm like, guys, I know we haven't talked in a while, but count me in, I'll do anything, I don't care. I was just like, you know, again, like my dreams in life were to do a feature film and a travel show, and I was finishing up my feature, and these guys were starting a travel show. I'm like, I'm in, count me in, I don't care. And so we met up, and yeah, at the time you guys had had a meeting or two with the network, and they were looking for things like budgets and schedules, and looking to kind of put the team together and just find people that had the experience. I'd never done a TV series either, but I worked in post-production on certain ones, and I'd just done a feature, so I had some idea about budgeting and tax credits and that sort of thing. But it was really sort of like starting from the ground up for all of us, I think. We were all like, okay, what do we need? We need to get an office, we need to have a place for people to work, we need to have an infrastructure, you know, we need to get a budget that's realistic, but the network wasn't giving a lot of money. So we're like, okay, we need to like figure out who's gonna do what and how we're gonna divide everything up. And there's so much to it, you know, what are we gonna shoot on? How are we gonna post it? There was like a million questions that we had to figure out. Questions that will probably come easier now that we've gone through it, but you know, it's all learning curves, right? None of us have formal training in this. We just sort of, I mean, we have Sheridan training, but when you actually go out and some network says, hey, we're gonna give you, you know, $40,000 an episode to make this happen, then you're like, wow, that's a lot of money. And then you realize really quickly it's not a lot of money, and all of us are like, well, we have to make it happen somehow. So part of the big thing was also yeah, like building our team, I guess, getting editors on, getting just other people to help us make the show a reality, and I don't know, booking trips, passports. It was sort of like a big, crazy process. We eventually got an office in Toronto, and we were working on that. I guess I don't know, where do we go from here? It was yeah, I guess
It's one thing to it's one thing to be able to get all your shit together, to shoot something locally. It's another to do it or to plan to do it in a place that you've never been to before, and that in most cases communication is spotty at best to try to get a hold of people, whether they speak your language or not, what kind of permits you need, all of that sort of stuff. The logistics of just getting ready to shoot in another country, I think, was a big slap in the face for me. I mean, let alone everything else of the startup process. I know for that first meeting with the network, having to have a top sheet budget ready, and I was looking to both Steve and Jesse, who luckily had some very practical experience with getting money from Telefilm and things like that for AML and a few other projects. And so we just looked at them because Andre and I, working through the corporate video realm and commercial up to this date, we didn't have to worry about that. And all of a sudden, we were wondering how to do it, what we needed to do, where the money was going to come from, you know. And the network would make certain demands. They would pay up to a certain amount, and then they want to see where other funding is coming from. They don't want to be funding the entire thing. So you've got to have your ducks in a row to make sure that you know where your tax credit money is coming from, how much that is, and where you're going to qualify for it. And then I'm thinking, do we still qualify for it if we're shooting out of Canada for 99% of the time? They were all questions that it was absolute trial by fire. And we had to just figure it out as we went. We made a lot of mistakes, but we got through it. I mean, in the end, again, it was a passion project, and I think that's what keeps everyone pushing forward. If it hadn't have been a passion project for everyone involved, we either A, wouldn't be working with them, and B, we never would have got it done because there were so many late nights, especially for these guys in the office, and while we were away and after we came back and putting things together, editors that just slaved over things, and every time that we came back, and again, passion project comes back to bite you in the ass a little bit because like that original demo, we never wanted to let it go. And so when something was in the edit process, it was getting close to a lock, and then we think, well, maybe we can just rearrange this whole thing and tell a brand new story. And it was, at a certain point, you got to know that it's as good as it's going to get, and you can dwell on it forever, and it'll never get done. And the reality of timelines being there, the fact that if you don't hit those milestones with the network, you don't deliver on time, then there's no more money, and production just grinds to a halt. So those are all harsh realities that you have to keep in your mind, and again, kind of learn as trial by fire. So
I think a big thing, I got a lot of people ask how we made the show and how we started off. I guess the key thing is that you definitely need a broadcaster to make a show like this. You can't, it looks easy to go out and just travel the world and do that, but there's money behind it, right? There's a team of people that, there's editors, there's, production managers, there's, our team, and it's a livelihood. So getting that budget from the network, and again, our budget for season 1 was, we got $40,000 from the network per episode, plus probably another 10,000 from tax credits. So about 50,000 an episode, which is very, very low. I think, I know I was working on another show recently, which is a half-hour show, and it was $220,000 a half hour. So I was like, are you kidding? And it's all shot in Toronto, and it's everyone's getting paid to do it. It was kind of eye-opening to me to see that, because for what we pulled off on this show, again, it was really I think what was really great was each one of us kind of had a different background. We all had our own specialities and expertise that we brought in, and kind of putting that on the table and everyone sort of delegating it was the success of Departures for sure, and how that show happened, because we didn't have, on the first year, we didn't have accountants or production managers, that kind of thing. So it was just us planning and executing these trips, and it was, it's kind of hard to do something that small again, I think, because it just takes so much out of you. I think over 3.5, 4 years, it was such a challenging process, but exciting, and the rewards were great.